Straight Out of BS podcast. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. We are, I believe, like 160. It's like 160 something. I want to say like 63 or 166 subscribers away from reaching 1,000, and I'm trying to reach that goal. If I could get it before Christmas, that would make me like the happiest ever, for real. But if I could do it by my birthday, which is March 15th, which is, I think that's doable, that would be awesome, because then this podcast gets put into the main algorithm, and then we get farther reach and a lot more like opportunities for like just branching out and getting more eyes on this thing. So thank you guys for all of your support so far. Please make sure you're liking the video, like just interact with the video any way you interact with the videos. Even if you don't like the video, hit dislike. That's still interacting with the video, and it'll still help the algorithm. So anyways, thank you guys for your continued support. Just wanted to say that. Thank you to my Patreon members. I appreciate you more than you know. Thanks to anybody that's joined the channel that's never expected. It's always super appreciated. Links are in the description for that. I want to do a moment of silence for the person still struggling with intrusive thoughts or addiction or anything like that. So on the count of 3, I'm going to do a moment of silence. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for that. And without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest for the day. Go ahead and introduce yourself and where you went and what years.
I was at Casa by the Sea in Mexico from 2002 to 2004.
Okay. And walk us through your childhood and like what led up to you being sent away.
Well, we moved around a lot when I was a kid. So I was born in California. And then in 88, we moved to Seattle. And then in 96, we were in Israel. And then we came back in 02. And we moved back to Rainier Beach. And I don't know. I mean, I was sneaking out and doing, nothing horrible. But yeah, we were back in the States for probably 3 months before I guess my parents decided to send me to Mexico. So they kind of did a sneak attack and, took me to a movie. And then we got back and car was bombarded by the people that take you to whatever school you go to. So that's how I ended up getting there.
Okay. And did you know that you were going to go to a school? Like, had they talked to you about it? Had they showed you any paperwork, or was it just as a complete surprise?
Complete surprise. I had no idea.
Okay. And I assume you were transported, since you said something about transporters.
Yep.
Did they handcuff you? Like, how did the transport happen? Like, walk us through like the transport, what you remember about that.
So we pulled up in my driveway and my parents bounced out of the car. And then there was, I think, 2 or 3 people there that kind of surrounded the car, and they were like, do you want to do this the easy way or the hard way? And they had handcuffs or a leg brace. And so I was like, well, I guess we'll just do this the easy way. So they just put the leg brace on me. We stayed in a motel in T.T.I overnight, and then we flew out in the morning.
Okay. And was it just you that was being transported, or were there other people with you?
It was just me.
Okay. And okay, what do you remember about when you first got there?
It was night when we first got there, like the middle of the night. And I remember they had one of the girls from the program come and like do my intake along with, I guess, the mama or whoever. That's what we called them there, mamas, the people that work there. And they rolled out a mattress in the middle of the floor in like a long hallway in one of the rooms. And I remember just laying on the mattress crying, and this girl like gave me her stuffed animal. That's what I remember about my first night there.
Okay. Did they buddy you up with anybody when you first got there? Did they give you a rule manual, anything physical? Did anybody go over the rules with you?
I don't recall.
Okay.
There were a lot of rules. I mean, I know I could tell you what the rules are. Whether or not they told me them when I first got there, I don't know.
Okay. And did they speak English there?
No.
Okay.
They spoke Spanish. I remember in the morning when I first woke up that they made us do a head count. That was, I remember, they're like, my family that I was in was called Odyssey. And they were like, all right, chicas, head count, Odyssey family head count. They made us stand in line and do a head count.
Okay. And did you know any Spanish before you went there? Or was, no. Okay. So how was it adapting to, like, how did you end up adapting to just like, well, not, adapting is a bad word. Just like, how did you like learn the language? Like, was it just repetition of just hearing the stuff, or like, did you not learn the language? Like, how was that for you?
I definitely learned the language. I mean, I was there for almost 2 years, so I was there for 23 months. So by the time I left there, I was definitely speaking some Spanish. But yeah, I mean, the other kids there spoke English, obviously, but you weren't allowed to talk, so they obviously take away your freedom of speech. So you're you have to learn Spanish, otherwise you're kind of screwed, right? So I don't remember the language barrier ever really being much of an issue, to be honest.
Okay. And how long after you got there did they put you through your first seminar?
I don't remember. I know that I did Discovery 3 times. I don't know how. I mean, like, honestly, I couldn't even tell you like how often they did the seminar. A lot of really a lot of that being there those 2 years is like a lot of it I don't remember. But like being in the seminars, there's like very vague memories of actually like being in the seminars. But I do know that I chose out of Discovery the first 2 times I was in there, which is why I was there for so long. It couldn't have been too long. Within the first couple of months, 3 months, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. What about like, did they give you a phone call within, like, how long did you get a phone call after you got there?
No,
Okay.
no. I don't remember talking to my parents for a few months when I, like letters, but phone call, I think the first phone call I got was maybe when I was like on level 3. So,
Okay. And how was your program overall for you? Like, was it hard for you to get points? Did you try to get points, but you got consequenced anyways? Like, did people pick on you? Like, there was people like that I know there that got picked on. I was one of those people that I just, no matter what I tried, like I was rebelling too, but at the same time, like no matter how hard I tried when I was trying, people just would consequence me. Or was it just like easy for you to get points? Like,
I would say at the beginning, it was harder for me to adjust, but once I was adjusted, it was pretty easy. So, like, it's funny that you used to mention that, like being picked on, because somebody that I spoke to once that whole like Netflix thing came out, obviously that made connections between a whole hell of a lot of people. So I've talked to quite a bit of people. And there was, I was on the lower levels until like I didn't get to upper levels for a while. It probably took me, because I chose out of the seminars, so many times, it took me a minute to get to level 4 and actually be on the upper levels. But once I was in upper levels, it was Casa By The Sea was cake.
okay.
And overall, it wasn't a horrible experience for me. Like, if I'm being really honest, it was traumatizing being sent there, of course, being ripped away from your parents and your siblings and like not being allowed any communication with them. But I think I was scared. I was 15 and I think I was scared when I got there. So I didn't ever really like rebel or do anything crazy. Like, I was in worksheets once for talking about something that me and a friend of mine did in outside of a seminar, but we talked about it in a seminar, like one of the little mid seminars. And we talked about it outside the seminar, and I got like, that was the only time like I got a Cat 3 consequence and went to worksheets ever in my whole program.
Okay. Did you finish up a lot of school? Did you finish up any school? Like, did the credits even transfer? Or did you
The
do
credits,
school?
I don't think the credits actually transferred for anybody. I'm pretty sure that everybody at Casa By The Sea that got their high school diploma had to go back and get their GED at some point.
Okay. And
But no, I didn't finish schooling. I mean, the school there was a complete joke.
yeah, for sure. So would you say, like, I know you don't know exactly how long it was before you got on the upper levels, but was it more than a year?
I would say it was probably close to a year.
Okay. Okay. I figured. Yeah, that's usually like the baseline. Like, I rebelled for a year, and then when I started working my program, like it was really, really quickly after that, I got because they threatened me with Jamaica, and they said, we're just going to send you there and not tell your parents. They've already signed away their rights. So that scared me straight. And then I've started to work my program, and I got there pretty quickly, but it took me like over a year. So I was just curious about that. And okay, how long? What was your experience about focus? Did you choose how to focus any times?
I don't think so. I don't think I chose how to focus.
Okay. What do you remember about the life hope process? Do you remember it?
Not really. I'm sure if you refreshed my memory, I might, but
It was the one where you like voted people to live or die, and you were like,
oh yeah.
You live, you die, and then you had to do the live or die votes, and then you had to like, if you, I was one of the people that got a bunch of live votes, so they were like, okay, since you got the life votes or whatever, now you got to tell us why you deserve to live over everybody else. And so they were like, you have like 5 minutes or whatever, however long it was. And I went for like 60 seconds, and then I just broke down because I was just like,
I don't remember. I mean, I remember like what you're saying, but I couldn't like tell you my experience in that process at all. No idea.
Okay. Do you remember your I am statement by chance?
I am what a beautiful, livable, something young child of God or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember what your stretch was? What they made you do, like the dance, where they had you do the dance, or like there was a mime, or there was like a servant that had to like wash people's feet. Okay.
No.
Okay. Um, what was the hardest part about being there for you, and how did you deal with it?
I think that the like not knowing, always kind of being in the dark about like how long I was going to be there, or like, like my parents came and visited one time, and I don't know if you know much about like the process there when your parents come and visit, but they had us like change into the best uniforms and like go outside and sweep the like the concrete so that your parents could watch you from a window. And like, I guess just not knowing, like that was probably the hardest part. Like, yeah, never knowing like when I was actually gonna get home.
Okay. And did they ever put you on any challenges there? Like having to
No.
like, okay.
Well, what's that mean?
Challenges like like for certain people, sometimes they would have them like carry around like for one family, it was like they had to carry around a log, and they had to carry the log with them everywhere they went. Or there was like one where you had to carry like a box of rocks or whatever, or maybe it was a backpack or something. And then they were like, oh, this is like supposed to represent like everything you're carrying around in life. And isn't it so heavy? Don't you just want to put it down? Like,
yeah, I remember that. No, I don't think I ever had to do that.
okay. When you got on upper levels, do you like have any regrets about like consequenting people, or like did you feel bad about like consequenting people, or was it just like kind of like you felt like you just had to do that to get out of there type thing?
I think that, I didn't really even consider that, like, because like by the time when I got into upper levels, I was on student council, and like it made being there so much easier. But like, I think that hearing from people, you know, later or recently actually, that like, you have to choose up to like, you have to like do your little vote thing, and then like, we like decide if they're going to come like up level or not. I guess that really affected some people. So yeah, I wasn't throwing consequences out to a bunch of people or anything like that, I don't think. But there was a couple of people that told me that they like specifically remembered when they didn't make upper levels because we signed them no.
Okay. Okay. And what was your experience of the food there? Horrible, bearable, good?
Oh,
Good?
that was like so horrible. I mean, I literally have PTSD from food now because I hated the food so much. And I even tried like throwing it in there that I was Jewish, and then I, trying to like get vegetarian food. And we had these noodles there that had like this white sauce on them that was so disgusting. I remember I would like take each noodle and like blow the white sauce out of the noodle because it was like hollow noodle. And then I would like sop it up with my napkin. So I just have plain noodles because we had to eat at least half of our food. That and the mashed potatoes. with fake mashed potatoes that they scooped up with a ice cream scooper. At least those were like pliable and you could like push them into like it make it look like you ate half of it. Oh, so bad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, most people say that about Casa's foods.
Oh, it's so bad. And they put that cheese, that white sprinkly cheese that everybody loves so much on Mexican food. Oh, I can't even be at a table with that stuff.
Oh, this is disgusting. Okay. Did you graduate?
I did graduate, yeah.
Okay. How long did it take you to complete, or how long were you there?
23 months.
22. That's exactly how long I was at Spring Creek. That's crazy. Okay. Do you remember anything about PC1, like the first time, like the first seminar with your parents?
Vaguely, maybe seeing them. I don't know. No, not really.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember ever feeling like just a weird feeling or like feeling high? Like it's hard to describe, but like when I got out of seminars, I had this like, I was like high on life type thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you remember experiencing that kind of feeling after
experiencing that? Yeah.
Okay. Did you staff any seminars?
I'm sure I did. I don't remember. I know I did.
Okay.
I don't know. Like the seminars are such a like complete blank slate for me. Like it's weird. I just don't remember them. I remember like banging on freaking. I remember like there's songs. You know, there's certain songs that I remember that will always make me think about the seminars. Like no matter when I hear them, certain songs. And like, yeah, that's it. You know, I don't really. I remember they were scary. Like I was scared and like just like I guess intimidated by like I don't know having to like speak or say something. I don't know. I really don't remember the seminars.
Okay, that's fine. I don't remember that much about seminars either. A lot of people don't, and I think there's like, I think that was on purpose, you know. Personally. Okay. Let's see. What was the worst thing you saw there, or experienced there, or heard about? And was there anything positive about your experience?
You know, I never saw anything too crazy go down. Like a couple people tried to run away while I was there. One girl, you know, I mean, it's Casa by the Sea is right off a cliff, so like your only option is to dive over a freaking cliff into the rocky ocean, pretty much. But there was a girl that tried to run away. She never came back, and then there was another guy that they caught like on the roof. And when they tried to run away, or when one of them tried to run away, they had us literally sit on our hands, like crisscross applesauce on our hands for like days.
In silence?
In silence.
Yep.
Yeah. And that, you know, that was something I remember that very vividly. That was insane. And you know, another thing I remember is like walking by, you know, the R&R, the room restrictions was down past the worksheets, and I never made it past worksheets. But like hearing people scream from that room. But other than that, like I never saw like really, I never really saw like any physical violence or like I don't know, I didn't. And like I could tell you like my relationships that I had with like the staff members there were good. The only one that was creepy was the nurse. She was freaking weird, the nurse lady.
What way? In what way?
I just remember her being like she was like a witch. I don't remember, but I just remember she was scary.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, but like, you know, I still have relationships with some of the staff members there. And I can't imagine ever having to work at a place like that. That must have been, you know, for people that have a heart of any sort, like that must have been a really fucked up job. I don't know. But, you know, the caseworkers that I had were good. And, you know, and I babysat, you know, like the owner's kids while I was there.
Yeah. I've heard that from a few people.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, if you can get on student council while you're there, which I was on student council for a while, all through, you know, probably the last 6 months of my program at least. Like, I mean, pretty much run that place when you're on student council. It's like, it doesn't matter anymore. So, and you know, I mean, that place shut down so quickly after I got out of there. I think it was just like a couple months after we got all the kids from Jamaica. They all got sent there. And then, yeah, I graduated and then it got shut down. So, yeah, I don't know. It's really there's so much of being there of those 23 months of my life that I just can't, I just don't remember.
Yeah.
And sometimes I listen to other people talk about it and I'm like, how do they remember all these like details and like so crazy to me. Like,
yeah, a lot of memories come flooding back when I do these interviews. It's very interesting because you were there 22 months and then you just said you graduated and then it shut down. I was the last person to graduate from Spring Creek before it shut down. That's crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
As a leader. Yeah. Okay. Looking back on it now, like, do you feel like having like the staff members having you look after their kids and stuff, like, do you feel like that was normal looking back at it now?
Like it was what?
Like it was normal? Like
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe once you built some trust with the owners, I mean, those were the owners, like maybe. I remember when I was babysitting them, I was just like in my head, I was like, oh my God, there's a phone here. You know what I mean? But like, you're so terrified to even like attempt. I mean, who would I call, right? But like, still, I mean, yeah, I remember being there and being like everywhere, even in like my home visits and everything. Like I was always so scared I was going to like do something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can completely relate. I actually did smoke a cigarette on one of my home passes and I never told anybody the entire time and I got away with it. But yeah, I was so paranoid about that. I was like, they're gonna find out. Somebody's gonna find out, even though like nobody would have seen me on my home pass. But I remember that. Okay. When you got back, did they make you do a life contract?
Yes.
Okay.
I still have it somewhere, I'm sure.
Did you end up following that life contract, or like was it just thrown out pretty much when you got home?
So I was adopted at birth. And when I came back to Seattle after graduating from there, a couple months later, my parents sent me to go live with my biological parents in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would say, so my parents, especially my mom, she's like one of the parents that completely bought into like all of it, like believed all of it. And so she was very much, it was crazy. There's no way I could have abided by that home contract. It was super unrealistic.
Yeah.
So no, it did not pan out in that way for me. So yeah, 2 months after I got out of there, they sent me to Texas. So yeah.
Okay. Had you known your biological parents like your whole life, or was that your first time meeting them when you went to
I met
Texas?
my biological mom once when I was 15 for a weekend, but that was it.
Okay. Do you know what sparked them sending you there after you got back? Did you ever find out?
It's a good question. I think that my biological mom, her name's Star, I think that she was like super pissed that they sent me to Mexico, and it was an open adoption, but despite it being an open adoption, the communication that I had with her over the years was very limited, I think they were just like, do you want her back? And she was like, sure, I'll take her back.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, I was adopted at birth too. And it's crazy. My birth mom, when she found out that my parents had sent me away, my adoptive parents had sent me away, she was fucking furious. She was super furious. She wanted me out of there, like, but she didn't have custody. She couldn't do anything. But she told me, like, I've seen her a couple times, and like the most recent time I saw her, I asked her, like, so when that happened, like, she was like, oh, I was fucking furious. Like, I wanted you out of there, but I had no custody, and there's like literally nothing I could do. If I had gone up there and tried to get you, like, I could have been arrested for like kidnapping or whatever, because I don't have custody. I don't have legal custody of you. But she said I was furious when that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened after you got out? How was reintegration into life, or was it hard for you? Was it easy? What have you struggled with the most? Or
I have until January 6th of this year I have been addicted to drugs and fucked off my whole life. Lost my kids, all kinds of crazy shit. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the extent of it, you know. Obviously there's been good times in between. But yeah, I would say I went to Texas. I've been to several rehab centers, you know, like drug rehab places. Since, you know, since I got out of there. But yeah. It's been, you know, it's, you know, getting sent to Texas where I obviously didn't know anybody. I was still in my senior year of high school. So I, you know, I tried to finish my senior year of high school there. That didn't go well. So I ended up getting my GED. Had my first daughter when I was 19 out there. You know, I managed to stay sober for like short periods of time throughout the last, you know, 20 years, but not significant. I got 3 years. I went to a treatment center in Austin back in 2010, and I was sober for like 3 years after I got out of there. But yeah, it's been crazy.
Okay. It's crazy how much you and I have in common. This is like crazy. But I'm actually an addict too. Like I used meth and heroin. Well, started with oxys. I've used drugs or whatever, hard drugs, for a total of like a decade or whatever. But I started with oxys, and then I went to heroin, and then later on I started with meth. And I had been on prescription medications like my whole life. Like since the age of 5, I was on Adderall or whatever. They started me on Ritalin, then it was Adderall, then it was Concerta, then it was Strattera. So I've been on like that kind of stuff my whole life. And so when I did meth, it was just like natural. It actually calmed me down. It didn't really like amp me up. Like it would amp me up, but it would like calm me down too. It was weird. But I did that for a really long time, over a decade, and just like got off of it like literally right when fentanyl was starting to get into everything. And I'm so glad that I did, because like if I was still doing the drugs in the amounts I was doing, like I would be dead. Like I should be dead statistically. Like statistically, I shouldn't be here. I'm like an anomaly. I view myself as,
I'm right there with you. Like I should either be dead or locked up 100%.
yeah, for sure. So it's like a blessing that I'm here, and I try and count my blessings like every day, and just like what I have, and just like not be mad about what I don't have, and just remember that like I was homeless for so long too. Like I just like realizing like what I have now, and just like you take shit for granted until you lose everything, and then like you realize that like everything you have is just like has so much value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just crazy. I've been sober for like 3.5 years. I'm on methadone, but I'm tapering off. I'm like halfway tapered off, and I'm just taking it slow and doing it because I've been on methadone a few times, and I've been administratively tapered before, where like they took me off like cold turkey pretty much, and like I'm trying to do it the right way because I don't want to go back to it, and I'm on methadone, but that's all I do, and I'm a lot happier. But it's still hard, like, because I use drugs to like in social settings and just like to like open up. Because like it's crazy. Because before the program, I was like outgoing, and then when I came out of the program, I was like had reverted completely into my shell. So I became like a complete introvert, and then like so it's just really hard to express myself. And so I feel like hard drugs did that for me too. It's just like allowed me to express myself, even though it wasn't in a healthy way.
Yeah, I can understand completely.
But yeah, I wanted you to know that I definitely know I've been there. What did it start for? Like, what did you start on? Was it oxys or?
No, so I was an upper, so I did meth. Luckily, I never, you know, I dabbled in opiates and heroin, but no, it was never my thing. So I feel like that in itself is a blessing because I know how crazy it is out there right now and how much harder it is to get off of opiates than it is necessarily to get. I really believe that. I feel like it's the challenge either way, but I feel like I have a lot of friends that are out there right now smoking fentanyl on the daily, and yeah, I'm just like, anybody want to jump on this sober bandwagon thing with me? And it's just like, no, hard. It's hard to get people, but I'm so grateful that I'm not out there using anymore. Seriously.
For sure. Did you spend time homeless?
I was never homeless. I was very lucky in that, I think it's easier for maybe for girls sometimes to like, I do know a lot of guys that, that are sober in the program. I'm in the program in AA, you know what I mean? I'm super involved in AA. But I was just talking about that with somebody the other day. I was like, I couldn't even ever imagine being homeless. And you live in Seattle, right?
Yeah, I've lived in Seattle my whole life. I've been homeless in Seattle in some of the very worst parts,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
jungle several times. So
Yeah, no, I was just telling somebody I've never even slept in my car. I've always had a roof over my head. But, that being said, I've lost a lot of other shit, like my kids, and uh, I'm just so glad I have a 7-year-old that lives with me. And, it's just, it's this past year has been like a completely different chapter of my life. So I've been able to like mend my relationship with my kids and, be present, which I have never really been my whole life. So it's been good.
well, that's good. Congratulations. How long do you have sober?
On January 6th, it'll be a year. So.
Okay. And do you just completely abstain from everything, or is it just meth you abstain from?
No, I abstain from everything.
Okay.
I just know, personally, I know if I were to even drink at some point, I would eventually go back to using meth. So I just to be safe,
Yeah.
I don't want to go back there. And I know how easy it is to fall back into that shit. So
Yeah, completely. And then sometimes it's individualized. Like getting sober is individualized for each unique person. It's not like a one size fits all solution. It's so I've tried to explain that to so many people that are just like, oh, we should just like lock all these people up that have addiction problems, or we should just like throw them all in rehab against their will. And it's just like, do you not understand that like literally there's one way to get sober and one way only? The person has to want a different,
100%.
like they have to want it. Like they
100%.
have to want it. It doesn't matter if you want it for them. You can want it for them all you want, but until they want it themselves, that's where the magic really happens. That's where you actually stay sober. But people just can't seem to understand and wrap their head around that,
No. Yeah. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, just gotta let them make that choice for themselves. Some people might be able to take a little bit of a push in the right direction, but yeah, that's about all you can do.
I mean, there's probably I know there's a small percentage of people that do end up going to jail, and just them being away from the drugs is enough to keep them away from drugs for good. But it's such a small, minute percentage of people.
It really is.
Compared to the people that just use that time to like clean out their system or whatever, and then they're already pissed that they've been incarcerated. So of course they're going to use when they get out. They're frustrated and they're still addicted.
Anytime I got locked up or went to jail or anything like that, I always ended up coming right back out and getting and using.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, how old are your kids? You said 1's 7. Do you just have one?
I have an 18-year-old also. She lives in Texas with her dad.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you told either of your kids, well, obviously not your 7-year-old, but have you told your 18-year-old like what you went through and like when you got sent away? Have you
Oh
had
yeah.
that conversation?
She watched the Netflix show, so I think that kind of helped break it. I feel like all these years that I've been out of Casa, trying to like explain it to people, it's like so hard to explain to a person that has never been in, they're like, oh, it's like jail. I'm like, no, yeah, kind of, but not exactly. It's just so, I've always found it so hard to like explain to people what it was like there. And I felt like once that show came out, I kind of was like, oh, now this show can do it for me to an extent, I guess. I guess everybody has their own individual experiences there, but yeah. It's definitely my parents saw that show and it's the first time they ever apologized to me in all these years.
That's cool that you got an apology from them. Did you talk to them about it, or did they just apologize? Did you guys have like a conversation after that and talk about it, or?
Not really. I think my mom really, she was just like, I don't really even know that she meant it, but she definitely said it. But no, there was really not much of a conversation behind it. Definitely like to blame my, addiction issues and whatever other issues I have on my adoption. And, I'm sure they're deep rooted from whatever, but, I'm sure being a Casa by the Sea definitely played some part in it. I don't know. I do DBT right now, dialectical behavioral therapy. It's probably been the best form of like any type of like therapy or treatment or that I've ever done for my brain.
What is that for people that might not know?
Dialectical behavioral therapy, it's based off of the cognitive behavioral therapy. Marsha Linehan, who's from Washington, she started dialectical behavioral therapy. And pretty much what it does is, if you're a drug addict or an alcoholic, or you struggle with issues of, addiction issues or whatever, any other, it kind of gives you like it kind of like gives your brain a different way of like handling. Like I'm super impulsive, for instance, you know what I mean? And I have been my entire life, and being impulsive like that has fucked me in so many ways throughout my life. But it's like it's a 2-year program. You sign up and you have to commit to, like, I do classes once a week, and I do, one-on-one individual therapy with my therapist, who's also certified in or like trained in dialectical behavioral therapy. But I don't know, it's given me like a toolbox shit that I can, like, it's totally helped, aside from being sober, of course, in AA. But yeah, it's definitely, I would, if anybody deals with like addiction, and it's, it's not in addiction, I wouldn't say that it's something that I wanted to. I definitely wanted to get into this before I got sober, but I could never commit to it. So yeah, it's a great tool.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you want, or hold on a second. I still have some questions. I haven't done this in a while. Hold on. If you could go, knowing what you know now, if you could go back in a time machine and not go through Casa by the Sea, would you do it, and why?
Realistically, I don't know, because it's like, I have no idea where I would be if I hadn't been sent there and I had those 2 years out, doing whatever the fuck I wanted. It was definitely not headed in the right direction. You know what I mean? I was making bad choices. Now I hadn't done any hard drugs before I went there or anything like that, but I was probably headed that direction pretty quickly. So if anything, I would say that I know a lot of people don't feel like they were safe while they were there. And I'm sure a lot of really terrible things happened to a lot of people there, but that wasn't my experience. I never, aside from just like feeling like sad and like, lonely and not being able to like really communicate with like the people that I loved, which was the hardest part of it all. I built some good relationships there and some good friendships. And like, I don't know. I have no idea what would have happened if I hadn't been sent there. And I probably wouldn't take it back. I don't know.
Okay.
I have other things in my past that I would take back on if I had to choose, Yeah.
Okay. Did they make you admit to things that you had never done when you were in the program that you remember of?
I do. But they didn't make me, but I felt like while I was, and I can tell you this straight up, while I was in Discovery, like, I didn't feel like I had enough issues for them to like, they were like,
Yeah.
oh, you're not telling us enough shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, but the third time I was in Discovery, I made up the most bullshit ass story I could ever even think of. I like told him that my brother raped me, my biological brother raped me, and like all kinds of crazy shit. And I freaking I made it through the freaking seminar.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
And it was all bullshit. You know what I mean? I hate that. Yeah.
Understandably. Okay. Um, looking back at it, what do you think would have helped you instead of being sent away?
I would say that there were many other ways to go about, helping your problem child. I mean, I was 15 and I was defiant. I had a lot of behavioral issues. But I feel like a lot of that could have been solved if my relationship with my parents was better. Like my relationship with my mom was really not, my relationship with my parents was really shitty. They were good parents, you know, overall, but like my mom's a trip. She's still a trip today. So, and she's hard to communicate with. And so like I never felt like I could tell her anything. Like she wasn't like, you know what I mean? I never told her anything. I was always hiding shit from her. And like I don't know. I know personally that like I would never send my kid away to a fucking place in Mexico or anywhere. You know what I mean? That's my kid and I will do whatever I need to. But I also strive to have a completely different relationship with my children than I had with my mom, you know, for that reason. So yeah, I don't know. Luckily my 18-year-old is very well behaved. And
That's good.
yeah, she is. Yeah.
That's always a blessing.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you want people to know about your experience or anything that you might tell a parent thinking about sending their kid to a place like this?
I would say, you know, if you, I would never, don't send your kids to a fucking place like this ever. Right. I'm sure there are so many other options out there. I mean, so many other options, you know, like I know that a lot of these places, like, you know, falsified information and like, you know, got parents to believe that it was something that it wasn't. And I think a lot of people still believe it, you know what I mean? Still believe that. But I definitely don't think that it's good to send your child to a place like this, you know, despite the fact that maybe my experience wasn't the worst. And I think that maybe it was like that because I was scared, you know what I mean? I think that a lot of my fear held I wasn't very defiant there at all for like the person that I am. You know, I was scared and I didn't want to be there longer than I needed to be, even though I was there for a long time anyways. But yeah, no, just yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel like that this place helped you at all? Did you take away anything from the program that has helped you?
I don't know. I can't answer that really. Like, I think I still harbor a lot of resentment towards my parents for sending me there, despite all the like therapy and work I've done to try to work through that. I think maybe if they took more accountability for it, then it would be easy for me to, you know, let it go. But I'm not like a resentful person, you know what I mean? It's weird because like when I talk about this, I can feel it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, no. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. If you ever want to come back for part 2, because I know for a lot of people, a large percentage of people, when they go through these interviews, stuff ends up coming up for them. It happens to me even. So if you want to just take some notes about what you want to talk about and reach out and we can do a part 2. Or if you just want to do follow up, just let me know. And for people watching the video so far, please make sure you like the video. Leave a comment down below, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel and share, and we will get the word out there and continue to expose these places and spread awareness on it. Thank you guys, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you.